The first thing we're going to talk about in the graphing unit is slope. So slope is represented by the letter M. Sometimes you'll see a fancy M. I'm just going to use a normal M like this. And then we often discuss slope as being the rise over the run. What does that mean? That means that to get from one point on my graph to the next point or another point on my graph, how much up do I have to go or down, and how much left or right do I have to go? Okay. Now we've got a couple of different types of slopes. We've got positive and negative slopes. We're going to talk about those ones first. It doesn't matter which points I pick on a graph when I'm trying to calculate slope. If you've ever run upstairs really quickly, sometimes you skip some stairs. It doesn't matter if you go one stair at a time, or if you start at the bottom and jump to the top, you're still going to end up at the same location. This is where we have to talk about reducing our fraction. So if I look at the blue one, this would be up 2, right 3, moving left to right. So my slope would be a rise of 2 and a run of 3. Now, if I do it again in red here, and we start here, and we go up 6, right 9, my slope would be 6 over 9, which are both divisible by 3. So if I divide top and bottom by 3, I get that my slope is 2 over 3. So it's the same slope, right? It's the same slope. It's plus 6, plus 9. It just means that I've jumped a couple of steps here. But when I reduce it back, I still had the same number of steps. Okay? And because I'm going uphill when I move left to right, that's going to be a positive slope. So now if we look over at this one, I find the point where the graph goes perfectly through a couple of the intersection points. Okay? And here, to get to my next point, moving left to right, I have to go down 3, right 1. So my slope would be down 3, right 1, or we could write it as just negative 3. So that one is a negative slope because I'm going down and to the right. I could also go up and to the left, which would be plus 3 minus 1, which would still give me a negative answer. That's how we get our negative slope. The next one we look at here is zero slopes and undefined slopes. So a zero slope has no rise. So here my slope has a rise of 0. I'm not going up or down to get to my next point on my graph. And it has a run of any number. Well, 0 divided by anything is just 0. So we say that this is a 0 slope. Okay. Now, when we talk about an undefined slope, this is where if you tried to plug this into your calculator, you would get an error message back. Because in this case, we don't know what our rise is. We know it's some number. We just don't know what it is. You could say it's infinity if you wanted to. But we know that our run is 0. Well, if you've ever tried to plug 0 into the denominator of your calculator, it gives you back an error message. There's a few reasons for that. If you have something, you can't just break it into nothing. But we will talk about that later. For the simplicity's sake here, we're going to say that our slope is undefined because I can't tell you how high it goes. So in this case, to remember that, my slope is undefined because I can't tell you how high or how low it goes. Okay, it goes on forever. My rise goes on forever. So that's the first step in finding slope, is finding slope from a graph, remembering that we have 4 options. We have a positive, a negative, a 0, and an undefined.